join me as I picked up the Badland jack here. I got it for $229.99. This is the cheapest price I've ever seen for this jack. Normally, the prior cheapest price was about $250. Almost a decade since I bought my last jack. I didn't realize there was so much DIY involved. And then the entire reason why I bought this in the first place, which is to roll it down my driveway. Still might end up using a plywood underneath, because what I'm seeing is actually that it's digging into the gravel. So yeah, I mean, you saw that it was rolling forward, but it's still digging into the gravel, and that doesn't normally look like that, probably because it's not been able to roll forward enough. So I've already cut this open here. Almost a decade since I bought my last jack. I didn't realize there was so much DIY involved. So the wheels come separately. They have wheel bearings in them, rubber bearings it seems. The small wheels and the big wheels. Something, plate adapter maybe. There's the jack pad extension, which I guess goes into here. Alright. So if we're looking at this, there's some extra grease on there. This is all plastic. Safety valves. I mean, this looks almost identical to the Pittsburgh Racing 3-ton jack, which is nice because I think they're very good jacks and pretty light. This one is not so it must be a reinforced version. It feels a little heavier, and it also has a few extra things. This handle here, this is the way it's supposed to be. Like that goes right through there. So maybe you just screw this thing onto here if you want to do the extension. But we're gonna get these wheels on here to actually use this. And the reason why I bought this is because this is the driveway I have. Otherwise, I have to pick up my jack and put it somewhere it won't roll on rocks. But this is supposed to roll on rocks, no problem. So I can basically change the game for home maintenance. So I guess the one good news is that you are going to use the same hardware for the front and rear wheels, so you just got to make sure you're using the right hardware. And it's not the hardware that you need to use to put this silly thing together. Handle's pretty nice. It's very similar to the Super Duty handle. Okay, so after tightening all of these, the main ones here were tight. These were a little loose, and these in the front were a little loose, but all of these are just kind of decorative bolts. They hold in the bottom plate, and then this like top cover plate, so nothing really important. So we're just gonna keep going with these wheels here. But I am glad that I gave them a little tightening. Tight for sure. I'm supposed to put bushing on there. There's no bushing on here. There's just washers and nuts. And I'm assuming what they mean by bushing is this rubber insert. Because otherwise, it didn't come with anything. For those who are wondering, it comes with this guy. You could tighten it with this. But it's also an 18mm socket. If you have a deep socket, you just put it on out. That looks beautiful. So what I'm doing here is I'm going left until it perfectly clicks the threads together, and then you can have no problem getting it to go down until it gets to this rubber piece where it's kind of like the lock ring, and then you need some tightening flukes. But that way you don't ever have to cross thread them. No reason to cross thread. Okay. Same deal, we're just gonna make sure everything's tight and then go ahead and put the wheels on. So what I found is that there's a variety of hex bolts on here. The 4mm will work for this one here, or the hex 4 works there, here, and here. In addition to that, you'll need a 5. That'll work for these guys at the bottom. Okay, and then this one is a 6 for the handle strap, and then the last one you'll need is an 8, which is for these guys here, these big ones. So we'll go ahead and make sure all that's tight, and then go ahead and put the wheels on. See here, there's this thing, which is just an insert to keep this flat, and you gotta have to get it off. Careful, because it's a press fit. It can fly on. Yeah, just like that. We're almost ready to bleed this guy. So the bleeding procedure, I have to put the handle in, open up the valve, open up the oil reserve cover with this little flathead, pump the handle while pushing down on the end of the jack where the lift point is a couple times, and then once I guess it's bled out all the bubbles, you can close it. Okay, it's closed. Now it's open. Okay. Loosen unscrew this. Apply pressure to the saddle. Plug this. It's really hard to see this, but I want you to see what happens. I'm going to pump this. You see the fluid start to move. And, alright, so. Alright, should be good. Okay, replace the fill plug. Turn handle clockwise to close the valve. Close the valve. It's a bit more tension on it now as it lifts. Full extension there. It's about 21 inches off the ground without anything else on here. And then the entire reason why I bought this in the first place, which is to roll it down my driveway. It's not bad, and the locking mechanism really helps for moving this around on gravel, because you do have to be able to push it still and give it some force to get it rolling, but it does keep rolling a little bit once you get momentum. So yeah, all right, next time this is on deal, or if you got money and you don't care, definitely look into this. Use these helps with getting it on the still might end up using a plywood underneath, because what I'm seeing is actually that it's digging into the gravel. So yeah, I mean, you saw that it was rolling forward, but it's still digging into the gravel, and that doesn't normally look like that. Probably because it's not been able to roll forward enough because of how it's digging into the gravel there. But this is some pretty good height so far. And obviously if it had the attachment, it'd be even better. How much extension did we get, please? Looks as though we only to get up about 17 and a half, maybe 18 inches there. And yeah, maybe that's because of it getting caught up on that gravel there, because there's a lot of tension here. It doesn't seem to be going anymore, even though I just pulled it a little bit. So I'm going to start to lower it. And you can see how it's... Woo! That was a little too fast. And you see where it dug into the gravel there. So, yeah, I think that what I would do is, you know, it's easy to move around on the gravel, but I would still probably put the plywood down, put it on the plywood and jack it so that it can roll nice under the car without getting caught up on the, you can see there, it's dug itself like divots into the gravel and wasn't able to get full extension, 21 inches or whatever. Only got up to 17, 18 like you saw. So keep a caution. You know, if you're using this off-road and you're using the extension and you're just gonna bring it up to like maybe 70% of its maximum height, you might be able to get more stability out of that. I think if you're trying to go max height, you might need to take extra precautions for the rigidity and weight, because just like the 3-ton capacity it's rated at, you know, most people say that you really only want to max out your jack 70% or whatever. You may only want to max out the height to a certain extent under perfect conditions, which I guess it does really help to have the extension. So then you don't have to really max out. You can just get a couple pumps, maybe 20 to 30% of 40% of the jack's capacity, and get all the height you need. So something to consider. I got the car on jack stands entirely level from front to back. That's the important part, because that's how you fill it. It has to be level when it fills. Now, going under here, I got plan A's and plan B's. So plan A, jack stands of course. Plan B, jack at the front. Plan C, jack at the rear. Even though it doesn't look like it has tension, it does. So that's on the control arm. Today we're going to be working on here.